Hello and welcome to another episode of All Politics is Local. I'm your host, John Tian. All Politics is Local is a production of the Greater Blackstone Valley Democrats. To learn more about the Greater Blackstone Valley Dems, feel free to visit our website at www.gbvdems.org. We have yet another great episode planned for you today. With me in the studio are the co-chairs of Citizens for Milford, Steve Trettel and John Seaver. Gentlemen, welcome to All Politics is Local.
Hi, John.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting us.
You're welcome. So let's talk a little bit about Citizens for Milford, where it came from, what it's all about, and just in the interest of full disclosure, I am also a member of the core team of Citizens for Milford. I serve proudly as more or less the data guy. Steve, if you want to tell us a little of the history.
Well, sure. Citizens for Milford, with the same initials as Casino Free Milford, morphed from that original organization. And that vote, I recall, took place about a year, just almost a year.
It's certainly, it's coming up on a year. Yeah,
Yep.
November 19th will be 1 year since the referendum.
Yep.
Stunning victory for us. I look back on that as the proudest campaign that I ever worked on.
I look back on it, John, and I say we dodged the bullet.
Yeah.
When you look what's happening at Atlantic City, I mean, it's practically closed down.
Sure. Yeah. How many casinos have closed there? 4 casinos in the last couple of months have closed.
Yep.
I saw
Bankruptcies.
I saw a satirical comment on one of my favorite blogs. BlueMassGroup.com is one of my favorite state blogs. And over at BlueMassGroup.com, somebody put in a satirical comment saying, well, now is definitely the time to get into the casino business.
Oh, my gosh.
He says, think of all the discounted equipment we could get from all these casinos that are closing down. and here in Massachusetts, why we love our historical heritage. Right next to Sturbridge, we could set up a historical Vegas so that you could see what it was like when casinos were in their heyday.
You know, it's still a headliner. We've got November 4th, we have the referendum question on the casino, whether we go forward in the state or not. And we also have Everett just got approved for their license in the Boston area, and Springfield approved theirs. So there's still 2 big full-scale casinos coming to Massachusetts, and of course the slot parlor is approved for Plainville.
And it's actually under construction, so unless the repeal passes, they are coming,
Yes. Yeah. So, but our issue is, as you know, Steve and John, it was, Milford was not a good location.
Absolutely.
That was really the key. It was a small residential town. Everett, of course, is an urban center right there. There's 3 million people.
As is Springfield.
As is Springfield. They're cities, not small little towns, and they're made for handling the traffic and the sewer and water and all the other issues that a huge casino would bring.
Right, and I don't know if you followed any of the developments recently in the case with Everett. Boston Mayor Marty Walsh sent a letter to the Gaming Commission prior to that vote outlining the corruption involved in the land deal for that casino, and it's pretty heavy duty. A couple of convicted felons stand to profit handsomely by that land deal. One of them was so foolish as to call a friend of his who is in federal prison and brag about the fact that they're keeping his name out of it because he's a convicted felon. They have to keep his name out of it, but he's going to make a bundle on that land deal. And of course, when you call somebody in prison, you're being recorded.
It must be recorded.
Don't they know that?
You would think. I mean, these super genius criminals, right?
You know what's really an irony, though? The Suffolk Downs casino option had all the Pauls all lined up behind it. You know, the Speaker of the House, all the insiders. They were all for Suffolk. Nobody was really for Everett. And Everett ended up winning. So most of the politicians who were all behind this, they all got a black eye.
Yeah.
You know, they weren't able to make it happen for their constituents. So it is quite a great irony.
Yep. So Citizens for Milford grew out of Casino Free Milford, and let's talk a little bit about Citizens for Milford. For one thing, how would people find us if they're looking for Citizens for Milford?
Well, yeah, we have our own website, citizensformilford.com.
Okay.
And we've been operating for about a year. We have monthly meetings of a core group of about 15 to 20 people. And then interspersed among that, we have quarterly public meetings at the Milford Town Library, where we're open it up to anybody. Any citizen in Milford can come and bring an issue to our group, and we'll evaluate it, look at it, and see if our skills and our interests align with that. So, you know, I think it's going very well. It's a good group of a very diversified group. People on the left, the center, and the right, and it's a good mix of skills. You've got to have. You just can't have all lawyers or all engineers. You've got to have people that'll do different things. That's how a good group works. Is a diversified skill set.
Exactly. And the reason this thing morphed into this organization continued was it just grew out of the friendship of the core group that worked on Casino Free Milford.
Right. Well, we met every week for how many weeks in a row? 20 weeks in a
9
row.
months.
Yeah. 20, 30 weeks in a row. We were there in the trenches formulating our plans
And we finally had the
executing.
baby.
But you know, it's much easier to bring people out on one issue that they can all agree on. I mean,
Right.
we had a meeting early on. We drew like 400 people that came out of their homes to a meeting, a bunch of volunteers. That's unheard of. We don't have that with Citizens for Milford. So it's much harder to when we're doing different things and we have to reach consensus, because there's some things that we can't reach consensus on.
Right. Right.
And so if we don't reach consensus, we don't put that on our agenda.
Yep, that's the beauty of it, yeah.
Yeah.
And speaking of doing things, we're doing something really big for the election that's coming up on November the 4th. We have candidates forum. I don't know if any of my viewers have seen the signs around town, but I want to let everybody know, Thursday, October the 23rd, 7 p.m., Upper Chamber Town Hall. Tell us about the candidates forum.
Yeah. Well, as you say, it's 2 weeks before November 4th at the town hall, and it's great. We've got 2 contested races for the state representative race and for the state senate race. We have Senator Moore being challenged by State Representative Ryan Fatman, and State Representative John Fernandez being challenged by Selectman from Mendon, Mark Reel. Mm-hmm. So we're fortunate that we have contested races, or this debate in forum wouldn't be happening. I mean, if they had open seats, if they had no challenges, who'd show up?
We've worked very hard on the format for this too, you know. Really thought an awful lot about it. I think it's going to come out like one of the presidential debates.
Excellent.
Because it's going to open with the candidates being there early, having the opportunity to mix with people coming in, meet and greet, and then we're going to start off with each of the candidates as we'll take one race at a time, representative race and then the Senate race, and the format is that each of the candidates is going to start off making a brief statement as they select, and then we've asked each of the candidates to bring 3 or 4 questions that they can ask their opponent, and their opponent then has the opportunity to respond to that question, and the questioner can then respond to
can rebut the response. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that should be an interesting part, and then the most interesting part, I think, is then the floor is opened up to the public, and the public has the opportunity then to ask their questions.
Right, and we can get a large amount of the public into the upper chamber town hall. How many people can we fit up there? 500, 600 people?
Yeah.
You can get 500. I mean,
Yeah.
We're not expecting that large a crowd, but who
Well,
knows?
I hope we are, because we're advertising this in the entire district.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a big district. In fact, the district that we have listed here, this is just the Worcester-Norfolk Senate District, but if we talk about John Fernandez, he actually reaches into Medway for a precinct as well.
Right.
That's right.
Well,
So there's yet another town.
Well, and fortunately, Milford is the largest district in both of the senatorial and
The largest town.
largest town with the largest population. It has the most influence, and so we're fortunate to have it. It's going to be live on cable TV, and as Steve said, so we'll have the representative, challenges, first, and then the Senate. We'll take a little break, and then we'll have the Senate, Senator Moore and Ryan Fatman. So it'll be very interesting. I mean, because the race itself, is percolating and building up. You see signs going around town, advertisements, they're on the radio,
Yep.
cable. It's very spirited at this point, and it's going to build, and it's going to build right to our forum.
Yep.
Because 2 weeks out from the debate is when, 2 weeks out from the election, that's when everybody's focused. From that point on till November 4th is really game time, and just we're excited.
We call this the Citizens Forum, and we intend to keep it that way. This is not candidates making speeches.
Right.
This is the citizens of this district getting their questions asked and hopefully answered.
That is really terrific. I'm really proud of our organization, and I'm glad that we were able to put this together. And I think that we're going to have a really it'll be a nice feather in our cap when we get this accomplished.
Yeah, well, you know, we had our first forum for candidates at the local election back in April.
Right.
Which was very successful. And we just, you know what it is, our group, we saw a need to have a debate, have a forum that was not really going on in town, you know, a live one, and where citizens could ask candidates questions directly. So we figured out, you know, how to sort of run a debate and run a forum back in April, and hopefully if this one is successful with the state rep and state senate, maybe we'll have another local one in April.
And as far as turnout is concerned, that forum that we had at the library, it was standing room only.
Yeah,
We had a good 100 people there, and there were people spilling over into the hallway.
Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, that was a tremendously well attended event, and that's why I'm optimistic
really,
for the attendance at our forum.
Really
this
good
fall.
questions came out of that too.
They really did. Yeah.
Very, very to the point.
Yep, it was an excellent forum, and the candidates even all said so after the fact.
Yeah.
You know, I talked to a lot of them, winners and losers, and they all thanked me and thanked the citizens from Milford for putting
Right.
it together.
And if anybody wants to do any prep for the forum, they can go to our website, citizensformilford.com, and we have all the background information on all the 4 candidates. And then, of course, the information on when, where, and so forth about the forum, what time to show up, and that kind of thing.
Okay. So also there's volunteer opportunities with Citizens for Milford too. Any of my viewers that really want to work on a campaign, or not on a campaign, but work on issues in town, we're always looking
Or
for
a certain project, yeah.
for people to volunteer.
As we said, we offer these 4 quarterly meetings. And we invite citizens to come in and bring their issues. And we kick it around and discuss it amongst the group and the citizens that have attended those 4 meetings. And after, we get together as a core group and we decide whether or not we have, first of all, consensus to take on that issue. And secondly, whether we have the resources to be able to do it effectively. And then we decide which issues that we're going to take on.
Yeah, and certainly resources, that's where the volunteer effort would come in. If somebody
Yes.
wants to volunteer to work on something.
I guess that's what triggered what I just said. If someone brings something, we encourage them to join us at least on that project.
At least on that project, yeah. To kind of spearhead it and help to get it done. Reno DeLuzio is a case in point.
Exactly, yeah, a good case in point. You want to talk about the
Right,
town
well,
report?
right, and so we've, you know, beyond the forum, we've moved into, say, 7 or 8 other areas in town where we're active and growing. One is some town meeting reforms, which, you know, areas where information can get out to the town meeting members more timely, or in a more you know, readable or summarized fashion, maybe through email. And you know, so Reno and our group have come up with a list of 7 or 8 you know, recommended improvements. We're also looking at trying to improve or make some recommendations to the town website. Right now, it's very limited only to town government. We want the town website to be the whole town, where they can go in there and they can find cultural groups, civic groups, social groups, you know, like Claflin Hill Symphony. Anybody looking at the town website can access what's going on with the Milford Performing Arts, what's going on with Claflin Hill Symphony, where one of the concerts, give us some background, or any nonprofit group, the Knights of Columbus, the churches in
The
town, all
Lions
of them
Club, all those types of things.
should all be linked into the website. It should be an all-inclusive website, and it isn't now. And so that's another issue.
And the precedent is many towns do this. If they don't provide a whole bunch of information, they certainly provide links. So someone new in town or every citizen can go on the town website and get a direct link to the various organizations in town and find out what's going on.
Yeah, right now I looked at the town website earlier before we came in here, and it looks like about the only thing that is linked out there is the Milford Area Chamber of Commerce.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which certainly includes a lot of businesses, but it doesn't include all of them. So,
No.
and like you say, you want to see some civic organizations. Claflin Hill is a case in point. I had never really paid much attention to CHSO, but then when I started volunteering here at the cable station, Andy, the former local access coordinator here in Milford, used to go and film their concerts, and he gave me an opportunity to be on camera for the concerts that he was filming, and it was tremendous.
Oh, yeah.
Really, really great.
Yeah.
What a tremendous opportunity.
Interestingly, many people in Milford don't know that's happening.
Yeah, and
You know,
it's
so we
really,
hope this will be one little way to
Yeah.
you know, provide access to citizens.
Yeah, and CHSO is such a great organization. They are
Oh, yeah.
really a tremendous orchestra.
It's a tremendous orchestra, but it's grown over the years. It's got a youth orchestra component now. The Metro West Youth Group is part of Claflin Hill. They've got an arrangement with the high school, and there's several other things. They've got the Chambers here series that they run over in Northbridge. It's really a dynamic group. We're so fortunate to have it, and the town hall has been renovated, so it's a perfect, you know.
A perfect venue for them. Yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
exactly.
Doing the camera work was really it was so much fun. I was up in the balcony and I'd be looking over the shoulder of a violinist, you know, as they're on the
nice.
violin. I'd get right up on their
Yeah.
sheet music and then back off slowly on the Zoom and stuff like that. We did some really fun stuff doing the shows. Eventually, Andy also got a projector. He put a screen behind the orchestra, and we were able to project whatever view was going on to the tape.
Yes, that was
was
interesting.
projected up on the screen, and you know, it was really great. I really enjoyed that tremendously. Paul Surapine, the director of the CHSO,
That's
deserves
just
a
one
lot
of
kudos.
many really good groups that we have in town that not too many people know about. you
Right,
know?
and the more that we can get the word out, the better.
You bet.
The better the cultural experience will be for people here in town, and so.
Yeah.
And this kind of stuff goes directly to our mission, you know. And our mission is to be involved in the town and be involved in projects that will make living in Milford just a little bit better.
Right.
You know.
I mean, so some other things that we're doing as well, we're planning really at the initial stage now for a beautification day in Milford. And next spring, sometime in April, we'll have a town-wide sort of a cleanup day, clean up to downtown, get, you know, different groups involved, similar to the way the trail group goes out and cleans the trail and spruces it up. We're going to plan something for the town, perhaps linking in with the Board of Health and the trash collection, where people can, you know, bringing in the transfer station, where people can get rid of some big items that are in their cellar or in their garage, and so stay tuned to that issue. But there's several other things we're involved in too. The downtown revitalization.
Yes, several of our members now are members of the Industrial Development Committee.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got many volunteers that have worked on the downtown holiday decoration, or seasonal, actually it's really seasonal.
Really seasonal, yeah.
Seasonal Decorations Committee. And a lot of our members and some additional volunteers are working very hard with Scott on that, and they've made some real progress.
When you say Scott, you're talking Scott Crisafulli, our
Scott,
highway
yeah,
surveyor.
yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Scott was interested in that project, and the whole thing has taken on a life of its own.
Kind of mushroomed
it's
into a life
happened.
of its own. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And we've had Paul Mazzucchelli and the Board of Health out to one of our meetings with John Erickson, the building commissioner, just to you know, understand the neighborhood group, neighborhood watch organization, you know, groups that they're leading, looking for code violations, cleaning up various eyesores in town, and also just generally issues around trash pickup, issues around the transfer station. People may not be aware that large items can be picked up, like a couch.
Right.
You can just put that out with your trash whenever your day is. Put it out there. You don't need, there's no extra cost. You don't need a sticker. You do need a sticker if it's like a washing machine or a dryer.
Something with a whole lot of metal in it or anything
Yeah.
like that, and a refrigerator or anything like that.
Yeah, but the point is, there's a lot of people that just don't know those rules, and so we wanted to get involved with the Board of Health and just to help to make the communication of those kinds of issues out there a little bit.
Now, I remember one of our core members virtually shouting about a couch that I guess was out on, was it on Main Street somewhere on the corner of a vacant lot or something like that? Just a couch that was just sitting there. For months.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, we had 4 or 5 eyesores in town that we brought up to Paul Mazzucchelli and to John Erickson at our meeting, and then within a week they were all cleaned up.
Yeah.
The Gibbs gas station was a mess at the corner, for one example.
The corner of Cedar and Main.
Somebody got on them, and it's all been cleaned and mowed and raked, and the trash has been picked up.
Not that we're the big movers and shakers, but the town employees and the town officials need some input.
Sure.
And for whatever reason, citizens are reluctant to go down and
I think
take some action. So they come to the quarterly meetings, and we take some action for them.
That's great. I think a lot of people just kind of take things as they come, Myself, I didn't even notice the couch. If I'd have seen it there, I might have taken a nap on it. I don't know. But Claudia certainly picked up on that couch. She did not like that couch.
No, no.
And honestly, who can blame her? I mean, that's just it's a reflection of the image of our town.
It's a reflection of the image of our town.
Yeah.
Now, in addition to many of our members being on the Industrial Development Committee, Steve Trettel was just named chairman of the Middle School East Reuse Committee.
Terrific.
And there's several other members of Citizens for Milford on that committee, which is great. That's going to be a big issue downtown. I don't know if you want to chat a little bit about that, Steve.
Well, I do. I think that's one of the, how do I say it? It's such a resource. It's potentially such a resource to this town. The committee has been charged by the selectmen to do a very thorough examination of the building, of the condition of the building, and examine potential uses. Right? And those uses could go from a sale of the building, to the town leasing the building, to the town using part or all of it, to finding a developer that would be interested in assisted living, similar to what they did with the Draper Corporation main offices, okay? Or even, a community college outpost.
Okay. Yep.
And,
one thing I can tell you about that building, being that I'm the chair of the Milford Renewable Energy Committee, I have a program called Mass Energy Insight. What Mass Energy Insight allows me to do is we take a listing of all of the energy billing that we have, all the electricity accounts, all the gas accounts, the oil accounts, everything that we spend money, everywhere the town spends money on energy, we take that data and we attach it to the buildings where that energy is being used. So we've attached the bills for Middle School East to the building, and then based on square footage, we can see how much is this building costing, energy-wise, per square foot.
well,
Middle School East is an outlier. It is the most expensive building in town from an energy use perspective.
really?
So you might want to take a look at some
Oh,
kind
I
of
did-
energy retrofits in there.
Can I get a hold of that report?
You can certainly do that, yeah. Just,
Okay.
in fact, I'll come to one of your meetings. Let me know when's a good time. I can log into the system and put it right up on the screen and show
Excellent.
people
Excellent.
what that's all about. But we have that capability.
We'll schedule
And then we graph them, and you look for the outliers. And Middle School East is the outlier in the system. It's like over here, whereas everything else is clustered down here. So,
And that's the kind of stuff that we're looking for.
Yeah.
right. I thought that would be helpful.
And,
John.
of course, there's many of our other members are on other groups in town, and they bring that information back to the Citizens for Milford group. For instance, Steve's also on the Woodland School Building Committee. I'm on the Armory Renovation Committee for the Youth Center. As I mentioned, others are on Industrial Development. What are some of the other committees? I mean, so that kind of stuff is the important stuff going
Well,
on.
myself, I'm on the Renewable Energy Committee, so there you go. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
and it's not like, you know, it sounds like we're trying to take over the town or something, and that's not the idea. Our mission is to get involved as much as we can, but really to encourage citizens to get involved in their community and their town government.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
from getting out the vote, and that's when we're gonna keep promoting that, you know.
Absolutely. And
to
you know what really distresses
Town
me?
meeting, to
Yeah.
knowing what's going on in the various committees.
What really distresses me about the vote, springtime elections. Nobody votes.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
lucky if we see 1/8 of the registered voters in town
Yes.
turn out to vote. And it's killing me because your local vote is where you have the most bang for your buck.
You bet.
Everybody shows up to vote for president. Nobody shows up to vote for selectmen. It's the other way around, people.
Yeah.
Voting for
It
selectmen is
truly
where you
it
get
is.
results.
And that's specifically in our mission statement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we're focused on getting citizens involved in their community.
Yeah, it's the same, you know, as you say, sometimes only around 3,000 people vote in the local election in April. 3,000 out of
Out of
the town.
18,000.
Well, out of 28,000 residents
Or 18,000 registered voters.
registered, yeah,
Yeah.
but that's even a lot of there should be a lot more registered voters.
Right, right.
But, you know, so there's the just more trying to motivate people to be involved for voting. But also town meeting is 50% of the people that are town meeting members never show up. So, you know, you've got about, I think it's 240 members of town meeting, and many times they only have 120 people show up for the annual town meeting.
Right.
So that's a problem. But you know, the first step is let the people know that's occurring. Who's showing up and who's not showing up, and why? Why are you a town meeting member if you're not showing up only twice a year?
Right,
For
it's
the
not like
annual
there's-
meeting
not
and
like
then a
it's
fall
a lot.
meeting.
Yeah.
How much are you representing us
Yeah.
in our precinct, you know,
Right.
if you're not there?
Yeah, I think I showed up at virtually every town meeting member. When I was a member, I actually lost my seat because I moved from Precinct 5 to Precinct 6, and there were no openings in Precinct 6. I may move back to Precinct 5, though. I'm looking at moving to a different location up on Precinct 5, so we'll see what happens.
Yes.
I may end up on town meeting yet.
Well, I'm sure you're well wanted back,
I mean,
Mr. Nofri loves me because he can hear my voice.
even without the microphone.
John, I
I've never
tell
needed
you,
amplification.
town meeting in New England is so unique.
It really
and
is.
it's the purest form of democracy, and it's where people have a direct voice in how their money is spent if they show up.
If they show up.
Yep.
That's
Yeah.
the whole thing.
If they elect and hold their representatives in their
Accountable.
precincts accountable.
Yep.
You know, they have a direct voice, and they can influence directly what's happening to their tax dollars.
Yep, absolutely. So we're about halfway through. Let's mention again how people can find out more about Citizens for Milford.
Well, we have a website, citizensformilford.com. That's one way of accessing it. We also have a Facebook page, and I believe it's also Citizens for Milford.
Right, if you just go to Facebook and search Citizens for Milford, you'll find it. Yep.
Yes.
I believe we have an email address people can send email to, citizensformilford@gmail.com.
Yes, that's correct.
Yep.
And of course, they can personally contact Steve or myself or anything.
Our information is on the website.
Okay.
If they want to come to any of the meetings, you know, they want to join our group, it's open to anybody that's a Milford resident. And if they want to come to the quarterly public meetings, those will be posted on our website.
I think the next one is January 15th,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And
We're
those,
gonna basically skip Christmas season.
yeah.
Yeah.
But, you know, the quarterly meetings are really our main outreach to citizens.
Right.
So we really would like to see a ton of citizens come.
And we had some really good turnout at the last one. I was
We
late, but
did.
there was a good crowd there. It
And
was good
boy,
to see.
did we have some good discussion too,
Yep.
right?
Yeah, Mr. Moderator there, Mike Nofri, he was
Yep.
there.
He
Yep.
was there,
Yep.
and he
Graciously,
added a lot of good,
he
good
added
comments.
a lot of information.
And we had people come down, I think, from New Hampshire or from, Littleton, and, so it wasn't just limited to people from Milford,
Yep, yep.
So it is interesting, and we're open, those quarterly meetings are open to anybody that wants to engage with our group.
We've never, I'll speak for myself, you've been somewhat involved in town, but before the casino thing, well, first of all, I work primarily out of town. I'm semi-retired now, so I have a little bit more time to be local, but I had never gotten involved in town government before the casino thing.
Mm-hmm.
The casino thing jumped out. It was such a terrible thing for a small suburban town, and I just had to jump in there. But now I'm finding out that there's quite a bit of value and an amazing potential for us to have to influence what's going on in town.
Yeah, yeah.
And give, what we really want to do is give citizens that opportunity. If we were king of the world and we could snap our fingers, we'd say, everybody really get involved and know what the heck is going on in every committee and vote.
Right. And there's always new issues coming up in town. You think, geez, we went through this big Woodland school debate, and you'd think it would be quiet. Well, the next week it was about renovating the youth center.
The youth center, yep, yep.
I can tell you, having been a selectman, it never ends. There's always something new. I think the water company purchase or not purchase is going to.
That'll be our next big issue.
Yeah, I think the report is. We hired the consultant, and the report is in. We haven't seen it, but we'd like that to be made public so that citizens can take a look at it as well.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll delve into it.
Yeah, so that's going to become an issue, in the spring or as things percolate. Woodland School is going to begin in when will that is that in June? I think that's when construction begins.
Yes.
Next June. So lots going on. I mean, you look back, only what is it, 2014. I can remember back in 2001, 2002. Since that time, we've got new police stations, new fire stations, new highway building for the highway department. Memorial Hall has been renovated. Stacy.
When did the senior center go in?
The senior center went in, geez, I think that was 2005, 2006, so that's brand new.
Yeah.
So all of these, both on the school side, on the school side, Brookside, Woodland is next, but the high school has been, the new roof and several $1 million worth of other improvements. Stacy, Stacy was a mess. The old Stacy building was abandoned for 25 years. That's been renovated several times. Memorial School, the elementary school, has had 2 renovations and an expansion with a media center and then an original renovation. So all this has happened in the past 14 years. And so we've been fortunate. I'm just thinking, just off the top, police, fire.
Yeah.
Has anything not been done? I don't know if there's anything left besides Woodland that isn't really. The library, of course, is now 25 years old.
Middle School East is our next big project.
Yes.
And we need to make sure that something really good comes for the town out of that.
Right. Well, it's right downtown. We really want that to be, a centerpiece of our revitalization efforts,
exactly.
more or less.
Let's talk about the Industrial Development Committee and the initiative that they took to promote a zoning change around the hospital area, so that the hospital can expand in terms of professional offices.
Okay.
And services around the hospital. I mean, to me, like right now, the hospital is like our Farmer Draper Corporation to this town. You know, look
Yeah.
at all the people it employs.
People that are employed there. and-
Look at
yeah.
all the services that it gives our citizens.
Sure, that
It's-
Dana-Farber
it's
building, that's
Oh.
tremendous.
Tremendous. And
course.
so that we want to make sure that we foster, we make their growth easier, not more difficult.
Right.
Okay?
But not only
And
the,
so that initiative is coming from the Industrial Development Committee and the town planner.
yeah, that's all good.
foresight.
But the big picture is Milford's been able to be successful, you know, for a variety of reasons. But we have a big commercial base, you know, Waters Corporation, 8 hotels. These are all new developments. Fortune Boulevard. These are all 10, 20 years old. That's not a long time. Those required smart politicians in town.
Right, smart planning. Yeah.
Smart planning, and so forth. And look at, so Milford has become the hotel center of the area. We've got Lowe's and Target, so we're a shopping center. And we're really a sort of a high-tech mecca as well in this area. It's not just Waters, there's Avisha, there's BioSure there up on Beach, and there's several others in town. And those are the kind of businesses you want to, you know, to come to Milford. We're fortunate to have, because other towns don't have a huge commercial base.
Right.
Because that's the key to keeping real estate taxes low. And so the vision of people 25 years ago, like Representative Parenti, who, you know, was very much involved in getting Fortune Boulevard going, and in, you know, the tax incentives, brought all that, you know, it took 20 years, but that's how it came to Milford.
Right. I had a great conversation with Marie and her husband, Babe, a while ago. As you know, I was doing solar panels, and I was doing a lot of door-to-door, knocking on doors, asking if people wanted to consider solar power for their home. And I knocked on her door because she does have a decent south-facing roof, and so she invited me in. I ended up spending an hour just talking politics. We didn't talk solar panels, don't tell my boss. But I ended up spending an hour talking politics with her and about all that stuff that
And
she
she's
did.
still very right on the money,
Oh yeah,
quick.
right on the money with it. Yep.
Hey, and listen, John, look at the parallel. You know, it was concerned citizens.
Right.
And that small group made this growth happen.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, that was when Draper went out, right? That was
Yeah.
when Draper was leaving,
Yeah.
and Milford
Yes.
was facing a loss of 3,000 jobs.
I don't know if citizens from Milford could ever come close to that kind of an impact, but that proves and it encourages us to know that a small group can make things happen.
Right, right. And you know what you were saying before about encouraging people to get out and vote reminds me of referendum day last year. Remember at 7:30 at night on referendum day, you and I had been out at the polls
Yeah.
all day long. Both
Yeah.
of us were freezing, and we got invited to come over to town hall to talk to the voters
Yes.
at 7:30 that night.
Yes.
Now, Steve and I, we are on opposite ends of the ideological spectrum. He has the exact opposite bumper stickers to mine. But
If you
both
look
of
at the back of our 2 trucks,
the one we have in common says keep Milford Casino free, and
Yeah.
at that time we both had the billboards. We were driving those billboards around town that said keep Milford Casino free. And Steve and I went to town hall that night. We interviewed with the guy that does the Milford Informer here at Milford Cable, and we had the unified message. There's 30 minutes left.
Yeah.
Get out and vote. Get out and vote. That's the most important thing you can do.
and that's what that's why we won
Right.
that
We turned out our
referendum,
voters.
Yeah.
because the people got out and voted.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we say again to the people, your vote really does count.
Yep.
Yeah, it was incredible. You know, almost 11,000 people voted at the casino vote.
Incredible turnout.
Almost 70% voted against the casino.
Yeah.
And you know, I remember in the beginning, everybody was, you know, the sentiment in town was pro-casino in the very beginning. You know, Butera and Nunes were on the ground and talking to people and getting organized. And
Looking for the movers and shakers in town.
yeah, I remember David Noon said to me one time, he said, John, you and Steve seem like nice guys, but I've got all the important people already lined up. And, you know, we thought about it for a while, and we realized he may have the important people lined
But
up.
we got the voters.
We have the real people
The real
lined
people,
up.
the voters. Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it was a great experience, and but we started from scratch.
Right.
That's the key. We weren't popular in the very beginning. People don't. It was all the money. They were downplaying the other side
The
of the
negative
issue.
effects of a casino. Yeah.
Yes, and then over time, our group grew and grew and grew because people began to say, "Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense." Because they would, we tried to bring out the other side, and I think that's why we were successful.
Oh, absolutely.
Because people didn't really end up trusting Nunes and Butera because they were salesmen, and they weren't giving it to us straight. They were just giving their side of the coin.
Right, and you look at the string of broken promises that casinos have made across this country. In Ohio, they put in a couple of casinos, and the first year projected revenues was something like $681 million. Well, it's 2 years later, and they have yet to reach $681 million in revenue. It just doesn't work, and it's just the wrong way to go.
It doesn't.
And it's empty promises.
It's interesting that the leader there, Scott Butera,
Yep.
has left the casino industry.
He's gone out of the casino
gone.
industry entirely.
He finally decided it's a bad business.
You look at
Well,
Atlantic City.
Well, the problem is the country now is saturated with casinos. Back when it was just Las Vegas and just Atlantic City, there was a lot of money to be made because that was it.
Right.
And then when Connecticut hooked up, they were the largest. Foxwoods back in I guess it was the late '80s when they came on the scene. Yes, that was it. But now there's something like 800 casinos, boats down in Louisiana and all over Florida and Mississippi and California. New York has almost a dozen casinos. I mean, so what's happened is there's saturation, number one. And number two, that's a brick and mortar business.
Yeah.
That's yesterday's news.
Everything's going online.
It's people are going to gamble online.
It's going to be.
3 states have already approved online gambling.
Yeah.
And so it's only going to mushroom. Within 5 years, there'll be 10, 15 states allowing, maybe more. And then it'll be over for the brick and mortar companies.
Yep.
Except for isolated, situations.
Yeah.
No,
And
that's
boy, did we
exactly what I was
dodge a
gonna say.
bullet on a couple of different things. I don't know if you've seen Foxwoods in the news recently. About 6 or 8 weeks after the casino referendum here,
Yeah.
there was a news item, I think it was in the Providence Journal. They were talking about
Restructuring.
well, no, they were talking about they broke up a prostitution ring that involved underage prostitutes operating out of one of the hotels down there at Foxwoods.
Doesn't surprise me.
Doesn't surprise me a bit. It's awful. The industry is awful. The things that happen as a result of that industry getting in is just it's terrible for society. And then we also looked at the restructuring of debt. One of the things that we talked about with Foxwoods was that they had, before they even came in here, they had just restructured $2.3 billion worth of debt down to $1.7 billion.
Meaning what? They negotiated with all their debtors that
Yeah.
say, we can't really pay you, so
Right.
will you take,
So-
70 cents on the dollar
So
or something?
somebody took a $600 million haircut is what it amounts to.
Right.
Somebody
Okay.
lost $600 million.
So they got that, so they said, I remember Scott Butera getting up there and saying, we've restructured our debt. We're in a great financial
Great
shape
financial
right
shape.
now, right?
They
So
were
what
just
happened?
they were just in court a month ago. They can't keep up with the terms on their $1.7 billion worth of debt that they got restructured.
We dodged the bullet.
We did.
Yeah.
We did. Can you imagine putting Foxwoods in here, letting them build a $1 billion
Which they couldn't do.
edifice, which they couldn't do. They couldn't
Yeah.
afford to do it.
Restructuring the
And-
highway.
and making promises to the town of all these millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Suddenly,
they're going-
we don't have any money.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm
and they're on-
sorry, we can't pay you.
Yeah, and it would have been a noose around our neck that we couldn't get rid of.
Right.
Because once, if we had ever approved that, we get tied right to them.
Right.
And they'd be telling the town what to do. I mean, when you get a large, just like the way Draper's was. Fortunately, Draper's was a great
Paternalistic.
Yeah, a paternalistic. They took care of their workers.
Right.
But when you have a corporation that is the huge employer of the area, they call the shots politically. They have the money. They control people. People are loyal to it. That's how Drape is, you know, it was a, you know, a quid pro quo or a back and forth. Same thing with the casino. If Foxwoods came to Milford, they'd be owning this town to a great extent, and politically or whatever. And it's hard to defeat a you know, billion-dollar organization
Right.
if they came here.
Right, it sure would have been. So we certainly dodged a bullet on that. So we've got about 12 or 13 minutes left. Let's talk some more about the forum that's coming up on October the 23rd. Again, if you want to go into the who, what, when, where, and why.
I can do that. So it's the Thursday, October 23rd, 2 weeks before Election Day, which is November 4th, Tuesday. It's at 7 p.m. at the Milford Town Hall. The candidates are going to be available from 6:30 to 7 for a meet and greet where you can shake their hands, chat with them, ask them questions informally, and then we move at 7 o'clock to the formal part of the forum. We're going to have you know, the state representative race debate first, and then the Senate.
You're selling yourself short, too. We have 2 MCs for this event, don't we? Steve Trettel and John Seaver, our glorious MCs.
Well, it's more than an MC. We're going to be the enforcers. Because we're not going to let personal issues come in.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
It's going to be substance. And it's going to be substance to answer the questions that the people that are there
Are
have.
posing.
Yes.
Yep.
Right.
We're giving time limits as well.
Yes, we have one of the members of Citizens for Milford, Jose Costa, who is going to borrow one of his company's timers.
Okay.
It's a nice little gadget, you know. It starts off with a green light, and if we have a time limit of 3 minutes on there for the candidate to respond or ask a question, they have a green light, and then when it comes down to a minute, they have a yellow light.
Mm-hmm.
And then when it comes down to 3 minutes, it goes red.
Okay.
And if they don't pay attention to that, then John and I will have
Just
to
give them the hook.
That's it. That's it.
So it's not going to be a long, droning out thing.
Right. Right.
But-
Where any one person can try to dominate or anything like
Right.
that.
No.
Yeah.
And the same thing with people asking questions. Too,
Yes, yeah.
Obviously, right?
Yeah.
Because we want to get as many people in there as. And, you know, it's going to be televised, as we said, live and then played back again and again. But I encourage people to be at the town hall.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So they can get into the, what do I say, fight now.
No, we
Fight's
don't want to
not
get
the
into a
big-
fight.
We don't want to get into a fight. Get their questions, you know? When they have, you see these Senate debates and the presidential debates, and we're all sitting there watching on television, there's a damn thing we can do about it, right?
Right.
This one, you can.
Right.
If you be there at town hall, you can do something.
Again, it goes back to what I was saying earlier. You get your most bang for your buck when you're voting in your local elections.
You betcha.
This is a local election. Look at our Senate district right here.
Yeah.
It's a bunch of, what,
Yeah.
14 towns?
By the
14.
way, we've got ads and everything out to those 14 towns.
Terrific,
So there's going to
terrific.
be other people coming from other communities.
This show is on in 8 of those towns. I'm on in Milford, I'm on in Bellingham, Mendon, Millville, Uxbridge, Douglas, Sutton, Northbridge. I guess that's it. I didn't get out to the western end of the district. I've been trying to get out there, and hopefully before this show gets on the air, the show's not going to air until October 15th.
Yep.
So maybe I can get out there and convince them to put me on the air as well. But I would like to see people from across the district. If you're driving into Milford, there's plenty of parking behind the Grant Building. There's public parking behind on the other side of Main Street as well. There's public parking all over downtown.
Yep.
So come on in, go to the debate, stop at the Turtle Tavern, my favorite place, and have a beer afterwards.
Right.
I do love the Turtle Tavern. We do Drinking Liberally over at the Turtle, the second and fourth Wednesday every month. So that's why when you guys are scheduling meetings and you schedule them on the second Wednesday, I'm torn.
Okay.
I thought that's where you play darts.
That's where I play darts as well. I play darts there on Tuesdays.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
Tuesdays is dart
Yeah.
night.
I see. I see.
But,
But no, the forum should be a lot of fun as well. Each candidate will have an opening statement. Then there'll be the questions back and forth between the two candidates, which is going to be interesting. And then then we'll open it up to citizen participation and questions. Then we'll take a break and we'll go to the Senate candidates, and then it'll be an opening statement, the opponents challenging each other with questions, then citizen questions, and then a closing statement for each of the candidates.
And in the intermission, are we going to have like refreshments and stuff? Can people get a drink of water?
Yeah, there'll be water available and maybe some, candy or
Halloween
whatever.
candy or something.
Yeah, we haven't got that worked out yet.
Maybe we should have a bake sale. Let's
could,
have everybody bake a cake.
It's a lot of bake sale is a lot of work.
It sure is. But John, I'm sure you're a great baker, so maybe you want to make some brownies or something.
I usually, when I'm asked to bake, I usually go down to Hannaford's and pick something up. So there you go.
Well, that's another great thing about Milford too, is the number of grocery stores that we have in town. You look at the competition with grocery stores in town. We've got Aldi, we've got Hannaford's, we've got Stop and Shop, we've got Shaw's. How many towns can boast 4 major grocery stores like that?
And on
Milford
top of that, Oliva's.
Olivas, which is even better
Yeah.
for all the good Italian stuff that you can get at Olivas. Yeah, all the stuff straight off the boat.
That's right, exactly.
Good stuff there. Those guys are always getting deliveries right there on Main Street. It's sometimes a bit of a pain to get past Olivas, so it's like, well, I might as well stop and go in.
All that stuff that you're talking about is why we love Milford.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Why my father settled here, my grandfather settled here, I'm here, my kids are all here, and, we love this town.
Yeah.
And we want to make it even better to live in.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, like what John was saying earlier, with all the stuff that we've done in the last 15 years here in Milford, it's just amazing,
isn't it?
It really is.
Yeah.
And-
Look at the senior center we got for our older people. Look at what we're going to have in the Armory now
Yeah.
for the younger
once
people.
that's revitalized, the youth center is going to be awesome in there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, we're very fortunate. Milford is if you look at it like a bicycle tire, we're the core. I mean, if you look at America, that's how it is. You've got core cities, and they're surrounded by sort of, wealthier suburbs, because they, people want to live where there's less commercial, but they want to come into Milford to shop and
Right.
where they may work.
Or they may work.
So it's the same thing with Framingham or with, Boston. It's wherever you go, you've got a core city surrounded by suburbs, and we're fortunate that we have a strong core, because some places the core is dying because all the middle class have moved out, and the surrounding towns are wealthy and prosperous and doing well, but the core is dying. Detroit's a perfect example.
Right.
Detroit is surrounded by some of the wealthiest suburbs in the country.
Right.
But Detroit went bankrupt. So it's a crazy model, what's happened over the past 40 years in America, but it repeats itself all over the country. But Milford is fortunate that we still have a vibrant core, a strong commercial, but we also have strong residential. And we have, if you look at what our taxes are for the residents, I think the average is $4,400, so a lot pay less. You go to Holliston, it's $11,000 for comparable.
Right.
I mean, it's unbelievable how expensive the property taxes are in area. Franklin is much, much higher. Medway is higher, but Holliston and Hopkinton,
Right.
much, much higher.
And here in Milford, we do such a great job with everything that we do. Our rainy day fund is huge. We're able to spend this money and yet sock money away for a rainy day.
Look at the bike trail.
Yeah.
It's one of the best in the state.
Yeah, absolutely. We have some really forward thinking people here. Some good efforts being put forth to run the town correctly and well. So
Yeah.
I'm proud to be from.
No, and
from
we've
Milford.
reinvested, because I remember, as I said back in 2001, our buildings were all falling apart. All the school buildings were all leaking. It wasn't, Woodland, Brookside, horrible. They were all horrible buildings. Stacy, Memorial, everything has been almost fixed. We're virtually there. But we had a period of decay where there was great neglect, and just, and then the town stepped up in the past 15 years and has really gone through. People forget how run down the old highway barn was. And look, drive by now.
Right.
It's
right.
first class.
It's beautiful. It
Yeah.
really is. Well done. Well done.
We've got some good officials in.
We do. We do.
We do.
We've had a good run, and let's continue to have a good run. Let's get everybody out to vote. I think that's the most important thing we can do. Let's see if we can
You betcha.
increase our voter turnout
We
in
have
the
two
springtime
statements
elections.
in our
Our mission statement.
mission statement,
Yep.
right? And one is to get people out to vote.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
And
absolutely.
everything associated with that.
Absolutely, it's the best thing that we can do for democracy. It really is.
Right.
I mean, even
But it's the hardest thing.
it is the hardest thing. It
'Cause-
is the hardest thing to make to convince people that they need to
People are busy.
participate. Yeah.
And there's a whole group that's not really interested in, for whatever reason, what's going on in town. They work and they deal with their family and the sports that their kids are in, and that's it. They just, maybe they just are fed up with the government, being involved. I can understand that. But what's the alternative? The alternative is if we didn't have democracy, we'd have some dictator telling everybody what to do, and we see what happens there.
Right.
We see the alternative to democracy is much worse. And democracy has to be, you have to keep it going, because it can become dormant. It can become,
You take it for granted. You got to watch out for that.
well, we are taking it for granted. That's
Right.
the problem.
That's
We
the-
take it for
yeah.
granted.
Yeah. I read a book a while ago called The J Curve, which talks about what you're talking about. And the way that he described the J Curve was, if you have a dictatorship, they can achieve like this level of social stability. If you have a democracy, or Western-style democracy, you can achieve a higher level of social stability. But the problem is, to go from the dictatorship to the democracy, you have to go through a period of instability down here, and that's the J curve. And it was a pretty interesting premise on government and how governments and people respond to governments, how governments rule and how people respond to governments. It was pretty interesting hypothesis. I don't know whether or not every assumption in the book was true, but it certainly made sense to me that's the.
But it boils down to individuals taking action,
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to bring this one up about young people. It's really tough to get young people out to vote.
Right.
Well, my wife Rosemary, right?
Yes. Yeah.
She's a tiger. And every one of our grandkids votes
Excellent.
because she won't let them not vote.
Yeah.
I don't care what
She
you
picks
vote.
them up and drives them to the
Yes.
polls.
Yes.
That's great. That's
and,
great.
And she won't take no for an answer. Well, they're in college. They're away at college. Okay.
Here's an absentee
Here's
ballot.
an absentee
Yeah.
ballot. Fill it out.
Well, it goes back to what we did with Casino Free Milford, our walk books that we took around town.
Yeah, yeah.
The back pocket of that walk book was filled with voter registration forms and
Forms and
absentee
absentee
ballot
ballots.
applications.
Yep.
There
Yep.
you go.
Yep.
That's how we did things. So, gentlemen, we are down to our final 30 seconds, and I've got to sign off and say goodnight. Thank you so much for being here today. Let's have a good time at our forum and see what happens on November the 4th. You've been watching All Politics is Local. All Politics is Local is produced by the Greater Blackstone Valley Democrats. For more information about the Greater Blackstone Valley Dems, please visit our website at www.gbvdems.org. Thank you, and good night.